Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Success in Black and White.
The podcast. We are back one more again. We are back one more again.
We are, and we are not alone. If you are watching us on YouTube, then you will see that we have two guests that we are super excited for. This one is personal for me. So Matteo and I actually worked together. He was an undergrad student and I was like brand new professional. So we were really close in age, but he used to work with me when we were at University of West Florida. That was like 10 years ago. So, not to age you, Matteo, but that definitely ages me. But I am so excited to have you all here because Matteo and his beautiful wife, Julie, are actually two entrepreneurs. And we're super excited. You guys, our audience, got to hear the intro and you got to hear everything that they're doing. And so we're going to dive kind of into your guys' life and just figure out like, how do you do it all? How do you do all the things? Because it's just so much fun to watch your journey. It's been a blast for me. And as I like talk to Daryl about you both, I'm like, check this couple out. They're just so cool. It's been fun for both of us to watch you guys. So I'm really excited just to dive in and to learn more about you and your businesses and to just get to talk. Finally, I feel like it's been a decade because it has.
We've been communicating on social media every once in a while, but nothing like this.
I know. I love it. So since we already introduced you, I'm going to let you both please introduce yourselves. And one of our first questions for you is just tell us about you, your personal journeys, your career journeys, how you met. What are you doing with your lives? Like, what roles are you fulfilling? I know it's a big question, so let us have it.
How long do we have?
We'll start with each other. I think that's a great place to start.
Yeah.
We met, it's got to be 4 years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a very simple millennial thing of sliding into the DMs and Facebook.
Yeah.
Well, it was Instagram first and then Facebook. Yeah. Long story short.
So I can actually make it the long story if you want. Well, it won't be that long. But so when I first started my fashion blog, how I would sort of engage, how I was taught to engage with people to get followers back then was to basically like go in and out of people's photos, like a few pictures, comment, hop off, do the same thing to somebody else of our friend group. So Matt was one of my targeted people that I didn't know I was targeting. So I like hopped on his page, liked a few things, hopped off, and he happened to be friends with one of my hometown, like of 10 years, Christian guy that I like respect his opinion over everything. And he happened to be friends with him and also knew a girl that I had recently met. So this girl, my friend Morgan and I went for coffee and found out that like I kind of was talking to Matt and he's like, "You're talking to Matt?" Like, yes, like he was so excited. But anyway, yeah, he like slid in my Facebook and asked.
We just had a coffee date, and the coffee date led to one thing or another. And
but he asked me to have a business conversation
because she's in the fashion industry. So legitimately, I thought she was cute, obviously. But the second part was she was in the fashion industry, and this is when I was really just kind of starting VERSATTIRE at the time, and she had a lot of followers. She had a lot of experience, just from what I was able to research. And I was like, I really want to sit down with you and just kind of pick your brain.
And I loved that because I was not looking for anything at the time. And I was all about like my career and myself and self-improvement and stuff. So when I heard business opportunity, I was like, sure, I'd love to. Like, I love talking about business. So he hooked me right away. And then
that's how you get them.
Yeah. We happened to like really hit it off. Like we talked for 3 or something hours at a coffee shop. And I was like, I really like him. Like he's cool. Like he's fun.
So and here we are now. So now she is a co-founder of the business that I had when I first started. Married. And that was on the first episode of the show, right? They actually got our wedding vows.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, we complemented each other really well. We're both entrepreneur spirited and we challenge each other. I definitely tried to build each other up and in a way that constantly improves each other's weaknesses.
Yeah. And I think like this year was the year that we actually started to realize our weaknesses, like what his weaknesses were and what mine were, and how like we could actually work together to build each other up. Like that really became, transparent this year.
Yeah. I mean, it's been an amazing first year of marriage. We're going on our second year now.
Yeah.
But it's kind of very unorthodox to have a first year of marriage and also be filmed for a documentary series all at the same year. Oh my
gosh, it was so tough.
While trying to build a business. And it was so much going on. Yeah. And we're kind of thankful because there was, as you can imagine, going through all of that within a year, there's ups and downs. And in the show, they really just showed a lot of the ups, right? And you never know what to expect because they could show some of those downs, especially in like a reality type of setting. But they kept it in really the positive memories and experiences and lessons throughout that first year. And it just, the series just concluded a couple weeks ago. I don't want to spoil it if you haven't watched it at the end, but it was an amazing 8-week episode. And we got just so many things from it.
Oh, well, first of all, I think you can spoil it because if people haven't watched it yet, you're bad. They need to go back and watch it and see what it was all about. It was a really fun show, and it was a fun show to watch from our vantage point of we're entrepreneurs as well, but we also do still have the full-time jobs. And so I think we have an understanding of what you both have kind of been through. And, especially like if you were working and then building this business on the side. And we also have kids and like all of the things too. But
hold on before you do that.
Oh, go ahead.
I have to tell you this. The entire time we was watching the show, I can't count on two hands. She was like, I know him. And I was like, okay, like we've established that. And, and then we get to another one. She's like, I know him. And I was like, okay, great. We've established that. And she was like, no, really? Like, I actually know him, not just like, through social media. I know him. And obviously after, 5 or 6 times of that, it was just kind of like, okay, great. I'm glad that you know him. So
it was fun to watch you all.
This is obviously a privilege for me to be able to be here and a part of this conversation, because the entire time that we were watching it all on TV,
I'm like, that's my friend.
She just kept reinforcing that she knew someone that was on TV and it was her friend. And it wasn't like, one of those social media, like, I know him.
I follow him. It's like, no, I know him. Like, we go back.
No, we go back.
It's been really...
I know. He's like, okay, I get it.
I get it.
It's been really intense.
But do you though?
Yeah, but really, do you? Because I know him.
The support has been great, and we really appreciate everybody that both in our network and our friends and our family. We just had so much support and love poured on us throughout the announcement to the end of the show. And
even while we were watching ourselves, like, it was surreal. I was like, we're on TV, right? Like, what?
Yeah.
It was weird. I mean, but it was cool, but it was weird.
So you know how I feel.
But yeah.
So we want to know about your businesses because both of them are just so cool. I remember, Matteo, when you started your business, and I was like, what a novel idea. Like, it just makes so much sense.
Yeah.
And then as I follow you and I'm like, oh, look, there's Julie. She's so sweet. They're great for each other. And then I'm like, oh, she's got a business too. This is amazing. So tell us, maybe one at a time, maybe both at the same time, I don't know, but tell us about your businesses. What are they? What can people expect from them? What's important about them? What motivates you about your businesses?
Absolutely. So it started actually from a conceptual idea over 5 years ago. And it was just simply me going, I was at that time working at the mayor's office, constantly going to meetings and being in front of community forums and workshops and on the go. And I had dress shirts that would always show these sweat marks. And I lived in South Florida. So that was always embarrassing, especially when you're representing the mayor. And I was like, there's got to be a better way. And literally that first year, every day after work, I would just go to the library and for 4 hours at the time I was living with my mom. So I didn't have a girlfriend. So that was all I had to do. And
best case scenario though, for being an entrepreneur, like having no distractions.
No distractions.
And no like crazy rent.
And payments. Then exactly. Yeah. So I would just began networking, learning, and just teaching myself of how to actually do this in an industry, right? Because I actually graduated with a master's in environmental sustainability, which I implement in VERSATTIRE, and I'll get to that just in a little bit. But I learned how to create a dress shirt from an idea. And then I took that prototype and began giving it to friends and saying, what do you think? How can we improve it? And then constantly improved it to where I was like, all right, let's start a business. And I know if I have this issue, other people also have this issue of a dress shirt that constantly sweats and is uncomfortable and doesn't stretch. So let's do it. And over the course of the years, we were able to get exposure, get on some magazines, some post articles, and a lot of New York Fashion Week, a lot of just amazing feedback and media. And we were still, though, very gradual, growing. I had a day job and it was just a side hustle at the time. Knowing that this is a passion, I feel like this is a solution that a lot of men need to be exposed to. So I just kept grinding. So this is not an overnight thing. This is years and years in the making. And then I always like to say, you can grind so hard at your passions. And if you want to be profitable at it, if you grind hard enough, you're going to catch a break. And that's where the break came. It came last year. Actually, in 2018, in March of 2018, we had just done a successful Kickstarter. We had just won a local Shark Tank competition here. And there was an opportunity to be filmed for a new documentary series. And that was it. There wasn't anything about Discovery Channel. There wasn't anything about money on the line. It was just, if you have an innovative product, we'd like to hear from you. And the next day, the casting director called me. She said, we love your product. We want to hear more about you. Fast forward 8 months. We didn't hear it was just back and forth emailing, hey, you're a finalist, hey, you're a finalist, hey, you're a finalist. I mean, that's it.
With like a few interviews,
well, the interviews happened within a couple of weeks, and that was it. Yeah, and it was just months and months of just silence or a couple emails. And I knew they had met Julie, and they said, oh man, we love your story. We love her. And I know you guys are getting married soon. If we do decide to go with you, we'd love to kind of film that first moment you guys getting married. And I didn't hear from them for like three months during like the holiday season. And then I was just like, you know what? It's 2 weeks before the wedding.
Happens.
Let me just email them. I'm like, hey, we're getting married. If you guys are serious about this and you want to get this on film, let us know. And that same day they said, that's right. We forgot to tell you, you're a finalist. We're sending a crew down there in 2 days. And I'm like, okay. And this is all happening while trying to schedule a honeymoon, trying to schedule a wedding.
Oh my gosh,
and at the time I had 3 jobs. So it was just everything happening at once. And then now there's film crews in our face. But the business itself, that whole year we were filming last year, and then the pandemic hit. It was actually supposed to go live in February. And I think with everybody losing their jobs, they decided that a show about quitting your jobs isn't the best timing to release this show. So we waited for another 4 months until we got the word in July that, hey, Discovery Channel, that was actually in July of this year, 2020, is when we found out that Discovery Channel was actually going to be the network, and they were going to start promoting the show in August. And we were like, that's amazing. And then August aired, and we were part of 6 businesses. We didn't know any other businesses except one that we happened to meet. And it follows 6 businesses in their journey of quitting their jobs and trying to scale their business, scale their passion. And we didn't know at all during filming and even after filming that there was $100,000 on the line.
Nope. Even though I had like intuition mid-year into filming, I was like, I feel like there's money behind this. I feel like there's like, because it's a show, right? And they're filming entrepreneurs and like, there's investor meeting. Like it was just something that told me like there might be money. And then at the very end, I was like, man, there was money. Like,
but I mean, honestly, looking back at it, we would have done nothing different.
Yeah, we wouldn't have. Like, we couldn't have done anything different.
Yeah,
so we really tried our best.
We couldn't have done anything much different or said anything different.
And we were like runner up too, which killed us even more because during that meeting in New York, we were like, it was us or Mike D's barbecue. And like, it was narrowed down to us two.
And we didn't know how close it was until watching the final episode with everybody else. So spoiler alert, right? That final episode, we didn't know how close it was. And so
we didn't even know why we were sent to New York.
We didn't know we were
we were like going to be on a panel, like answering questions that will tell them whether or not they want to give it to us or to Mike D. But I mean,
so it was as surprising as you can imagine. And that last episode was For Mike D, by the way, he's an amazing person.
Oh my gosh,
his wife,
love him so much.
We have communicated with them. They're amazing people and well-deserving.
Well-deserved.
I think that last episode was such a punch in the gut, though.
Yeah.
Because you're like, we've been trying to raise like a substantial amount of money, and we've gotten investors that want to like give us a little bit, but we've kind of aimed for the moon. And by the moon, like hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? And then to find out in the final episode, we were like
so close.
Honestly, like a decision away from 3 mentors who, you know, are successful, and one is the president of Shopify, and you know, just being that close was a lot of lessons learned, and we were still fortunate and blessed to be in the position that we were and where we're at now.
Absolutely.
That's a long kind of explanation. Love Bombshell.
I love it.
Awesome.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay, Julie. So tell us about your business, because I'm super interested and I see all your stuff and I just want to buy it all. And Daryl tells me I can't spend all that money. So now let's convince him.
Okay. Wow, where to start?
Start with the concept and then pivot.
So probably the concept came to me over a year ago, and I left my 9-to-5 job to solely freelance from home. I was working a corporate design job. So I was a jewelry designer for 5 years. I did everything from like sketching to production to the sampling. Like I managed a whole design team from start to finish. And then a lot of my designs were featured in Vogue, Town and Country, Harper's Bazaar. And so I felt like I got to like the point where I couldn't grow anymore within the company. And I felt like I was giving all my creative energy to somebody else and that I didn't have my own thing. So I've kind of like always wanted my own business. I just never knew exactly what I wanted to do. But I left that job and then kind of had like a few other social media agency jobs that taught me enough to then start my own social media agency, which consisted of like, I don't know, 3 or 4 clients that kept me afloat, like kept my lifestyle afloat, but it allowed me to work from home, which I loved. So it was kind of in that moment when I was working from home from the couch in Matt's t-shirt and boxers. And I was like, you know, making boss lady moves on the computer, but I felt like not put together. I missed like dressing up, you know, from my 9-to-5 job and like feeling like, you know, professional and focused. I don't know, just dressing is like scientifically proven that it makes you feel more alert and productive. So when I was sitting from my couch, I was like, there's got to be a way to combine my fashion design background, because I graduated with my fashion design degree. I was like, there's got to be a better way to design something that's like comfortable, but high fashion and gives you a shape and makes you feel like sexy and put together while you're working remotely from anywhere in the world or, you know, just lounging at home. So I was like, I need to create this. So I started sketching, and those sketches kind of like lasted, you know, a couple months. I was like really just thinking about it, praying about it, because sometimes I get excited about an idea. And then like, you know, I just really wanted to make sure it was something I would stick to. So I thought about it for like months and I kept getting excited about it. And so I was like, all right, I think I'm going to do this. So when I started, sort of making my samples was when Matt surprised me for Paris. So this was captured on the show. He surprised me to go to Paris, and literally my dream was to make a collection and photograph it in Paris. That was like my dream my whole life. So I was like, oh my gosh, I have like 2 months to make a collection come to life, from my head to sewing to everything, so that I can photograph it there. So it kind of put some pressure on me to like get it done quickly.
Good pressure. Yeah,
good pressure. So I got it done. It was that time where I was, you know, filming for the show, and they were like, you know, we need you guys to set up like, you know, models and kind of work with the show so that they had content to film while they were there. So I had to schedule finding, you know, Parisian models, which was like impossible. I was on Instagram searching through hashtags Paris male models and like sending them DMs like, hey, are you available on these dates to shoot with us for free? Because you're going to be featured on a show. Like I was really trying to pitch it so that it sounded like an awesome opportunity. And then on the meantime, I was also doing the same thing for my brand. And so I think the same day, like I had a photographer who was actually from West Palm, where we live right now. and she was in Europe at the same time. So I was like, hey, like, do you mind like coming down, you know, like to Paris to help me photograph my collection at our Airbnb? And so she came down and photographed it. So I got some content. But yeah, so that's kind of like how the vision came to life. And when we got back from Paris, I had researched how to, you know, set up a website, set it up all through Shopify. I created all my branding, my logos, basically everything you can picture to make a brand come to life. I did everything myself with the help of Matt helping out with like back end stuff that I like hate doing. And so I was ready to go. I was ready to push my website live. And then I heard talks of COVID happening in Italy from friends over there. And I was like, oh my gosh, you know, just like trying, like foreseeing it happening in the US. And I had to make a really tough decision to start taking all of my fabric that I had ready to do my loungewear, but I started making masks with them instead. And so I never went into production with like that first loungewear line. I just started making masks. And this was before COVID hit the States. So I was like the first one in Florida to start making them. And we had like a huge elastic shortage here. You couldn't find it. There was like all the material stores were like, you know, you couldn't.
Hour-long waits to get limited supplies.
Yeah.
I waited in those hours for her, so I know.
Yeah. And so it was like this weird like epiphany that like, I don't know, I feel like I was told like weeks in advance, like, Julie, you need to order 600 yards of elastic. You need to order hundreds of yards of fabric. And so I got all of that.
This is before any orders had come in. So I'm like, I'm in my mind, like the financial, I'm like, how are we going to do all of that?
And I also had like no finances to fund this, like, but I just knew it was the right thing to do.
I remember I was in the store and I was about to check out and she calls me. She goes, have you left yet? And I go, no. And she goes, okay, double what you have in your hands. I'm like, I already have hundreds of yards. She goes, double it. And I was just like, okay, are you sure? And you go, yes. Like, all right.
And then like weeks later, you couldn't get elastic anywhere. There was like a 2-month waiting period from overseas to get elastic. So,
yeah. And then the purpose behind it is
so the reason why I started initially was I was only sewing them for hospitals because a lot of hospitals couldn't get masks and they needed them most. So
that's still the case.
And that still is the case. But not as much as in early March. But I started just sewing them at home for free for hospitals. And then my friends and family started asking for them. So I already had my website put together. So I just put them on my business website and made them an actual business. I started an Instagram. I like marketed it on a lot of my influencer friends, sent them out to all my influencer girls. They all like love the cause because I do every one purchased as one donated to a frontline worker. So I was able to pay for these free donated masks through some of the profits that I'm getting, and then also help my business grow at the same time. So it was just overall such a blessing for everybody involved. And so many of my influencer girls were just like so on board and like grateful. And I was grateful for them to just like, you know, do it for free just out of the goodness of their heart, which I mean, it was just amazing. And
it was at a time where nobody was influencing face masks or anything like that.
Yeah,
so
this was like
she had a message.
March.
She had a message behind it, and she had stock. And so I like to say that was the biggest success story, overnight success story, because her brand kind of took off.
Yeah, it blew up.
It provided the seed funding. It provided the home. Yeah, it provided a down payment for our first home that we're in right now. That we haven't announced, by the way, on any platform whatsoever.
Yeah, which we were living in his mom. We were living in his mom's house for like 2 years, and I could not wait to get out of there. But it was like what we had to do to, we couldn't have another situation.
Yeah,
so
we weren't planning to buy a home.
We were not planning on buying a home.
The business was doing so well. Yeah. And then the market kind of crashed locally, and we're like, timing plus like us finally being able to move out of my mom's house. This is the time. And we were able to just help we were helping children's hospitals with the masks.
Yeah. And honestly, that was like the best part because you drive up to these hospitals and like they didn't have any resources. And so when you're able to give them that,
and they couldn't, amazing. And they couldn't order the MOQs that were required from minimum order quantities from overseas.
They just weren't getting it. There was like back orders.
And so it was just this incredible niche, however you want to say it, of frontline workers in hospitals that didn't have the resources to purchase. And so we were just donating them, and they were meeting us outside, like throngs of nurses. Just
I have pictures.
Throngs.
So cute.
Yeah. I don't know how but nevertheless, so now she's being able to finally pivot. So
now I'm able to pivot back to my original plan, which was loungewear to begin with, because I feel like the market is like a little bit more open to, you know, obviously we're all lounging, so kind of the perfect timing. And then so my main focus is robes next. So I really want to focus on really, really cool, high fashion forward robes that you can't find anywhere else in the world. Like it's straightly designed from my head.
And you'll see them coming out soon. And then the last thing I'll say, this synergy worked out perfectly because with VERSATTIRE during that pandemic, you know, we're selling dress shirts. We have these super stretchable V-necks as well. And we paused all advertising. And we saw a lot of other online businesses pause advertising because there was two things going on that were just demanding the attention.
Face masks.
They were, well, it was COVID. And then the racial movement in the US, so much needed, right? And both of those dominated. So if you were a business online, you had a very difficult time trying to navigate that because it's like you're trying to sell throughout both of these things.
It's such a sensitive time that like you don't want to be selling products.
And so I paused and when I told you I waited hours in line to get her this, I went all in with her company because she was prepared for it. She had a website built for it. She had the elastic. She had the sewing background. We wound up hiring 6 local seamstresses that didn't have jobs to help us out at the same time. But the biggest thing is I had all my manufacturers that weren't working. And
because they weren't producing clothing for designers because nobody was buying clothes.
So I just called them up.
They were out of work.
And I was just like, hey, can you make face masks? And they said, well, we have all these people out of work. Let's do it.
And they've never made face masks before. So I kind of was, you know, there was like a lot of hiccups on my end. First time business owner having to deal with like, they messed up, you know, $700 worth of masks because they sewed them too small and they were supposed to be adult size. And now I had like hundreds of kids, like not even kids, like teeny tiny micro masks. And I had to suck it up and, you know, pay for it because they already put in the work. So it was just,
but here we are. We have 2 companies that are online. And, you know, when you think about overnight successes, I think hers is actually a great example of overnight success where I've been at this for 5 years. She started this year, but just timed it perfectly and put a product out there to the market that was in high demand and had a social purpose behind it.
Yeah. And honestly, I had no idea that it would be what it is because that wasn't the intent. Like it just kind of turned into that and I just kind of rolled with it and then kept trying to meet the demands. Like I had 17-hour days, like 7 a.m. to like 3 a.m. at night every single day for months. And he was up there shipping orders. We had like a day where we had like 200 orders to fulfill and I hadn't even started sewing them yet. Like I was that backed up. And so I had to call my mom over. My mom was helping me cut and sew. Like we just like had everybody involved.
And all that footage was filmed, but they didn't include it in the show. But nevertheless,
I won't get into that.
She's starting to pivot now to her loungewear brand. I'm starting to get back. Well, I mean, since the show launched, we've been able to really, you know, help build VERSATTIRE back and more. And, you know, we're still pretty self-funded, number one. And
it's not easy though.
It's not, we don't have any full-time employees yet. No. At one time we did.
Yeah, I did.
For the Bombshell in the peak of face masks. Like I said, she has 6 seamstresses working for her. But the face mask demand has kind of fallen as just it's been flooded right now, as you can just see on anything. But nevertheless, we're still grinding at it and continuing to grow our businesses.
I took so many things away from that, not because like positive things. So first of all, one of the we're people of faith. So one of the reasons that I think that you all are so successful is because like the energy right now that you all are putting out is just like so nonchalant. It's just like,
you know, I did this.
Yeah, I did this, but
I helped all these people.
But not only that, the cause that's associated to what you're doing, like the fact that your motive was not to get rich, or not to build your brand. Like I was listening to you, Julie, and you said you made masks for people who were working in probably the most extreme conditions who needed them. Like like that energy and like I said, we're people of faith. It's like you reap what you sow. It's just like, it's so positive, and you're doing things that are impacting other people and they're uplifting people in certain situations and conditions. And I'm just like, I see why. And you're talking about
comes back around.
Yeah. You're talking about overnight. I was like, but you said overnight, but you worked hard, and Matteo, like, you were in line for,
it's amazing.
I don't have that patience. I'd have been like,
screw it. Like, done.
No elastic for no one.
But that was so awesome, because it's exactly what you needed. I love it.
It was two fronts, and the sacrifice was there for both of us. It's like, okay, we're gonna wait in line, one, because it's our living. Two, we're helping people. So like, I need to sacrifice this time, not get frustrated, not get aggravated, and just be patient and lose sleep. Because I mean, it was like AMs.
He didn't complain once. He was up till 3 a.m. He didn't say like, I'm so tired. Like, like, can we go to bed? Like, it was not.
I had to match her energy.
I was like just sewing like till, I don't know. I was just exhausted, but like.
I was massaging her every night.
She was,
She was just
so
like,
I have
old woman sewing this thing.
I have like really bad neck problems. I got in a awful accident, but I have like
years ago,
2 bulging discs in my neck. So when I'm like sewing for that long, my neck started to really hurt. And so there was this video of me like with like 3 ice packs on my neck, and like him massaging me as I'm sewing. Like it was just
it was painful.
Out of a movie.
Yeah.
Aww.
But I love that you said that you guys are people of faith, because I can't even tell you. You probably won't. I mean, you'll believe me, but I don't know. A lot of people probably won't believe me. But this whole experience of mine was so faith-based and such a spiritual experience for me, because I'm telling you, like, I did not tell Matt, get me 600 yards of elastic because I thought that. Like, it was put into my head. And every single day I was like following directions, and I was saying, okay. And I was doing it each day. And every time I would say yes, a week later, I would look back and be like, oh, that's why that had to happen. Yeah. Like, it was like an epiphany every single day. I mean, best moment of my life, honestly. Like, it was so special.
And even yesterday, we just sent out a whole, how many masks yesterday?
Oh my gosh. I sent out probably like a couple hundred donations to probably 5 different probably 6 to 7 different organizations who I called, and in my head I was like, oh, there's not going to really be a need because there's so many face masks now. So I just had it on my heart to like call around, and the people that answered, the PR directors and the coordinators, they were like, wow, like, yes, we're in dire needs of masks still. Like, they stopped coming. And so I was just like, oh my gosh, like the motivation just came back, and I was like, I can't stop. Like, these people still need them. So I don't know. And here I am thinking that like, it's kind of calmed down, but I don't know.
No.
Yeah, it's purpose. That's called purpose. That's called.
I love it.
That's purpose, and
being obedient too to like what you hear, and just saying yes, like it's so important.
That's hard I'm gonna say for me. I'm not gonna speak for April on this. I know that God says a lot to me all the time, and that obedience part, I pray about that. I'm like, just keep working with me, keep working with my heart. But sometimes he's like, you need to do this, you need to do this. And I'm just like, oh man, I ain't got time for that. I don't have the energy, or I feel like this should be a priority.
But we talk about this too, that opportunity will show up. And sometimes it's in your head, right? And sometimes it literally comes in front of you in the form of other people or something that just shows up. And I'm like, opportunity is God talking. Like, you can't ignore opportunity. Like, you either do something with it. If you ignore it, it's a wasted opportunity, So we have that conversation also.
Yes.
Yeah.
We would not be living in our first home together if she ignored it.
We wouldn't have been able to help as many, like, we wouldn't have been able to do any, like, zero impact.
We wouldn't have been able to be a blessing.
Yeah.
I like that.
I like that.
Too. Yeah.
I love it. I want to switch gears a little bit. We talked a little bit about I Quit, which was on the Discovery Channel. Our audience heard about it in the intro, but I want to know, what is like the number one thing that you took away from doing this reality show, I Quit?
Oh man, number one thing. You answer that first.
Sure. My number one thing would be,
Okay, I'll answer.
Okay.
I'd say, throughout that year, we put our head, I don't know how the expression is, but we worked really hard. And there was a lot of late nights. There was a lot of collaboration. The two biggest takeaways for me through that show was she, from a business perspective, is essential for a balanced team. And when you have a balanced team, you have balanced ideas. So that means one idea doesn't dominate another. And one bad idea is balanced with a good idea. Like there was so much that she was bringing to the table that was really brought to light in one interview with Harley Finkelstein. And that was actually shown, I think, episode 7, where he said, Matteo, have you considered making Julie a partner of yours? She has all of these things. And literally at that moment, it was live. I'd said, you know what, Julie and I have never had that conversation, and we don't know why. And he brought that up, and we're just like, this is that moment. And since that moment, I realized that her business-minded savviness, as we've just heard with Love Bombshell, is essential for VERSATTIRE to also be successful. And then the second part to it was bringing her on that next month. Taught me lessons on financial business management that I've always been very financially savvy. I paid for my master's program. I worked 3 jobs in college to pay for that. And then I also had to pay $50,000 in loans while starting a business, but I mitigated that by not having a girlfriend, living with my mom, and driving a truck.
And he paid it off.
And I paid off that $50,000 in 3 years, along with doing everything I just mentioned. So I've always been very cognizant, disciplined. Yeah. But when it came to business money, what I never understood was, okay, you have sales coming in, which in my mind, I'm looking at that revenue table, and then I never considered all the expenses and the accrual of expenses every month. It was a different mindset. So I winded up spending much more than the money coming in because I didn't know how to forecast. I didn't know how to trim the fat of material expenses. I didn't really take subscription costs seriously. And I remember just having our first, literally that month after that interview with Harley, had our first business financial discussion where I opened the books. And she just was like, what are you doing?
And mind you, I'm a spender. Like before meeting him, I hated talking about money. Like I just whatever came in went out. Like he taught me everything I know about saving, and like, oh my gosh, just completely changed my life along with Dave Ramsey. Yeah. But
we did a Dave Ramsey course together. Well, like it was I don't know why I didn't apply my personal discipline to the business discipline.
So it's so funny because personally I'm a spender, but business wise, like I will look at every single thing. Like I make sure I have control over everything. So I know what's coming in and going out. Like I'm very anal with my business, but I wasn't with my personal life. Yeah. I don't know why, but when I saw his, I was like, okay, we got to change this.
And it helped, and it's helped. So those are the two biggest takeaways: was bringing her on a partner, and then having a heart-to-heart financial discussion when I opened the books to her, and having a second opinion. And that second opinion changed the course of how I began really diving into business financial management, which is different than personal, but there's still a lot of synergies between both. I don't know why. And as a CEO, I was in this mindset of I have to invest, never considering profit lines, never considering expense ratios, all these different things. And I don't know why, but yeah, those are the two biggest takeaways for me. For you?
For me, it would, definitely the same. One thing for me personally was hearing from I don't know if he's a billionaire now.
Oh, Harley's a billionaire.
Okay, hearing from a billionaire that
just like a Shopify stock.
Yeah, hearing from this like super successful entrepreneur, him and I have like very similar mindset. When I first sat down with him, I was like, oh, I know you. Like I'm very similar. Like it was like this thing right away that I felt. But like hearing him tell me that like I'm capable enough and like I'm good enough to be a CEO, I was like, whoa, that's really cool, because I always believed that in my head, but like hearing you say that makes it real. And so it like motivated me and made me feel confident that like I can do it. And I don't know why I needed that validation, but like it just felt good to hear it. especially as a woman, like I feel like, I don't know, we kind of get overlooked sometimes, especially if we don't have a big voice. So I'm like more like quiet, reserved. I'm like a beast mode in my own head, and like I do what I need to do, but I don't really talk about it. So yeah, that, and then definitely with like Harley, you know, telling us about ourselves, like kind of being like a marriage counselor in that way, like
a business marriage counselor. Before we know we needed one.
Because yeah, like Matt and I had never talked about like us being partners in a business together. No. Like when I first met him, that was his baby. And excuse me, I completely understand that because I wanted my own baby, you know? And so when I met him, I always kind of viewed it as that. So I never really like gave too much advice. He never really asked for advice because like he was kind of doing it on his own. So it kind of stayed like that until Harley brought it up, and we were like, oh, okay, like, yeah, we can maybe make this work. Like, but then at the time I was like working, you know, a couple of freelance jobs and then starting my own thing. So I didn't really have a lot of time. So we had to like work out what that looked like, and like, how would I bring in finances for us if like I was working for free for you. So like, there was a lot of like nitty gritty talks like that we had to have to see if it would make sense, but we made it work, and we're still making it work.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Those are very important conversations to have. I know for April and I, like we like complement each other very well. And I remember when we kind of started having those type of conversations, and that's kind of how we got to where we are now, because essentially I was the one who was out doing the entrepreneurial thing, and she was like, hey, I'm tired of just being in the background and helping out. I think I can contribute more here. So she wasn't like you, Julie, where it took someone else to come in and make that recommendation. She
was like, let me do this.
Excuse me, I have a recommendation myself.
Let me in.
April's always been like that, though. I can attest to that.
So, but it was one of the best moves that, you know, we could make, because it helped me elevate what I was doing. And it also kind of introduced us to something that we never thought of for us. And we were very, you know, ecstatic about the opportunities that started rolling in and the way that things started happening for us as a couple. And it was just like, oh man, like we're like,
it's always evolving too. And I think, you know, that's something that our roles with each other are evolving. We have a very different type of business. It is not like not like textile or like we're actually producing something, but it's more service-based, not product-based. But it's still like our roles are ever evolving, and we're constantly talking about like what makes sense right now. And as opportunities come our way, how do we have to flex our roles and pivot what we're doing to make sure that we're still serving each other and we're still serving our business? And so I think that I love that you guys are having these conversations. I think they're not easy conversations. We've had many difficult conversations. We've had many fun conversations. Like it's smart.
So I want to do this real quick, Matteo.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Let me do this real quick. So,
wild card.
This is
I feel that coming.
Yes, this is the wild card. And because we're kind of talking about it. So before we, you know, started recording this episode, I was asking April, I was like, what should I wear? Would he be offended if I wore another button-up shirt? And we're talking about VERSATTIRE. Like, so she said, no, just wear something to be comfortable. And then you can kind of initiate the conversation during the episode. So that's what I'm doing right now. So I was going to put on a button-up, but I felt like it would have been offensive to you if it was not a VERSATTIRE. But
I'm not easily offended.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not easily offended. It's all, I mean, with this industry, and this is for the both of us, when you're in the apparel industry, you can't be offended if somebody's not wearing your stuff. You're a growing company. And
I don't know. I see all my friends with face masks on, and I'm like, if it's not mine, I'm offended.
See? You talking my language, Julie?
Why are you wearing it?
It just, if anything, for me, it just gives me an opportunity to open the conversation. For her, it gives her the opportunity to beat you beside the head. Why aren't you wearing it?
No. Well, listen, you didn't have to open the conversation. I opened it. So my question is, for people like me, like my build, my structure is more athletic. I have very broad shoulders and I have a very narrow torso. Yeah. My belly is starting to poke out a little bit. Right.
Dad bod.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
I've had all different types of shapes and forms wear my shirt. And that's, especially with dress shirts, you have to have a generous exchange policy because you never know, right? One fit from one company might be different with another. So, we have, we're rolling out a different size, not like an XL or anything like that, a standard fit. Yeah. So our shirts are athletic fit, which is bigger than a slim fit and almost like a tailored, but with an athletic kind of taper to it.
But it stretches. That's the glorious thing.
It stretches. So it is not like constricting cotton dress shirt where if it isn't your size, you can't move in it. If it is a bit snug, guess what? It's going to be snug with you as you move, and you're going to feel very comfortable in it like you would in a gym shirt. It's the same concept. And you go to a gym, you see guys wearing tight gym shirts all the time, but that's not the point. It's not going to be tight. It's going to fit the way you want it. And if it doesn't, we exchange it.
Perfect. You answered my question spot on. Thank you, Julie, for the input because that was necessary as well for what I was asking.
So I'm wearing one right now, and I always do this because people just need to understand. So this is just the regular sleeve, and it's like super stretch. So I'm just going to stretch all the way up.
Oh, see? I told you.
Ooh. Get closer and I'll do the bicep.
Okay.
See?
All right. I'm going to the website. Yeah. As soon as we're done. Okay. I know we have an episode to continue, but as soon as we're done, I'm not going to do it right now, but I'm going to the website and I'm putting it in an order.
Also, because majority of our listeners are actually just like audio, some people come to YouTube and view, but if you're audio and you just heard that is our oohs and ahs of amazement because this is actually like a stretchy. I knew you said stretchy, but I was thinking like it was like
I don't know if you can make it sound.
This is like stretchy.
Wow.
First, go watch the video.
Yes.
And then go to VERSATTIRE and their website because amazing. And now Daryl's going to order.
I did not know it was like that. I am actually impressed because
that's really impressive.
Sometimes you see other shirts that say that they're stretchy. And you put them on and you're limited.
It's a little bit.
It's a little stretch. This is like a lot of stretch. That was really impressive.
We tested thousands of fabrics before we got into this.
Because you can't have it too thin,
Yeah, it can't. So, we were able to stretch. I like to say it's 3 times more stretchy than your gym shirt. And I hope that will fit if you ever see it.
Yes. I'm sold just because I saw that.
That was amazing.
Like that needs to be a commercial, right? I mean, I don't know. It may already be a commercial, but that right there, what you just did.
Yeah, we need to do something. We should probably refresh some of our videos.
That was good. We can take that and take that clip.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll take the clip. Anyways,
carry on, April. I'm sorry. Okay. That was the wild card. I got what I needed. I'm ready to order a shirt. We can just call it. We just call this. I know.
He's like, oh, good. That's what I need. Okay. Well, we have 2 more questions for you.
Yeah.
And they're both very pertinent because one is we're going to have you answer first. And it's really, really important to us. Our podcast, if you have been following us and kind of following the work we're doing, we are very invested in diversity, equity, inclusion. We think it's very important in this climate. Yeah. And we want to know from you, how does your company or how do both of your companies really embrace the inclusion aspect? You know, you may not have the vision for it, but how do you embrace inclusion? How do you embrace diversity within whether it's marketing, whether it's creating the products? Like, how do you embrace it?
Well, I like to say, I think you guys, you've been talking about this for a while and you were just positioned so well to have a foundation already to address this to your audience and then to new audience and viewers and listeners. So I applaud you for that.
Yeah, you guys are killing it.
Yeah. And for us, the question posed is something that we've never been asked directly. And it doesn't mean we haven't thought about it. So, for me, a big part of the manufacturing process is always working with inclusion in mind. The people that manufacture our shirts, number one, are in the States. And we always want to, I'm literally making sure from an ethical standpoint, the shirts are made with quality and a fair paying wage. And I work directly with manufacturers. I see the process. I meet the people.
Yep.
This is not something I've outsourced. It's something I go directly to the manufacturers to see.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2 is the people working there. We have, whether it's in Miami or we also have another manufacturer in Utah.
Mm-hmm.
In both of these places, a lot of the workers are immigrants. People just trying to make a living and making lives better for their families. And they're often, especially Miami, Haitian, Cuban, any type of Latin American.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, growing up Hispanic, I know the work ethic is such a big part of this. It has nothing to do with skin color. It's about you trying to do something for your family.
Absolutely.
And it's a huge benefit. And actually, one thing that in 2017, we had our first, so our big break was Discovery Channel. Our first small break was I got on the cover of our local paper, actually regional paper, the Palm Beach Post. They put me on the cover, front page. I was not expecting that. And we sold out within a week. And that was our first kind of huge momentum. And that was the same year or transition, I suppose, that Trump came into office. And I'm not here to talk politics, but he did some very strict visa requirements for workers. And that hurt me dramatically because I had my manufacturer lined up. And within a couple of weeks after my front page, that manufacturer went bankrupt. And that was my first big lesson in textiles and apparel 101. Was always have a backup manufacturer, and all their workers were afraid to come in, and I didn't have a dress shirt, so I lost all the momentum for 8 months. I had to start pretty much from scratch trying to find a manufacturer, and the shirts, you'd be like, oh, you just find another manufacturer anywhere. But the shirts are so unique, as you just saw with that fabric. They're usually not made for dress shirts. And so you'd always have these manufacturers saying, yeah, we can make that. And then they try to use the fabric and they're like, we can't do this at all. And it took me 8 months to find one. So.
Yeah, that's crazy. Jake, no.
Sorry, I went on a tangent there.
And for Love Bombshell, I mean, it's so important because my Instagram is visual. So people come to my website and like, I want them to feel diversity right away.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want them to have to question like, oh, is this for me? Like, so, I will say that ever since the Black Lives Matter movement happened, it has transformed me so much because it's opened my eyes to so many things that like I've grown up with Black friends. My best friend is Black. Like I never thought about what they might have to go through. But like after hearing her like stories, like it just made me more vulnerable to ask questions and like do a lot of personal research as well, just so that I'm educated and not coming off like, ignorant. But yeah, it's just like, it was really eye-opening. And of course, like, it's biblical, like we are all one, like we're all equal. And so it's so important for us to feel that way and like for us to feel that way and then for us to act on it.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, how I do that is partnering with Black influencers. I've already done some that have just been amazing. I've been low key, like don't tell anybody, paying them way more because there's like a huge thing happening where, apparently for influencers, a lot of, I guess white influencers are getting paid more than Black influencers. And that like really rubbed me the wrong way because I'm like, why? So as a brand, as a CEO, like I'm making sure that like they know that I'm being fair and even more so. So I'm trying to, it's coming as an influencer myself. And then also as a business owner, I see both sides and I see what the influencer side and I see as a business owner. So I'm trying to like really do my best and my part in, being equal and including that.
Well said. I mean, I think it's
I admire what you just said, Julie, and then I'm gonna get back to you, Matteo. But I know I really admire what you said about acknowledging the disparities, but not only acknowledging it, but doing something about it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where the bridge comes in at, because a lot of people know and a lot of people hear, but they don't do anything about it. But the fact that you acknowledged it and then you took action and did something about it, I think is very important. And I respect you for that. And then two, one of the things that you just said is the fact that you took the initiative yourself, and it didn't take something personally for you, or it didn't take someone coming to you to educate yourself on things that you could maybe do differently, or how it impacted you as a CEO. So kudos to you for being ahead of the curve on that. There are still conversations that we both have where people are not even to it yet. And the fact that you
in large organizations, mind you.
Yes. And then Matteo, on your end, the fact that wow, y'all are really ahead of the curve on this together. The fact that you, from the beginning or wherever it happened throughout your process, integrated working with those different people who are here and who need to support their family as well, but miss out on opportunities, maybe because of location, region, ethnic, backgrounds, racial backgrounds. The fact that I think is very impactful. And obviously, when you were telling your story to me, I was like, dang, that sucks that all of those people lost the opportunity to support themselves and their families because of a divide or whatever the issues or concerns were. But like April said, we have an opportunity to work with organizations and businesses that have been around for an extended period of time and have a large, staff, and they're still not where you are right now. So the fact that you all have acknowledged that now is kudos to you.
Yeah, I think this whole, since probably in May or June, when this awakening started, was something that I believe our generation needed.
Oh, absolutely.
Because we just think it's distanced from, a generation ago or beyond that. And for people to start having those really personal conversations with those friends of theirs that, again, Julie has many friends, I have many friends, but to have that conversation to talk about what experiences have you had that I haven't had, right? We've just never thought that was necessary. And then you have that conversation and you're like, wow, I didn't know this is still something that people are dealing with.
Man, I just love you guys too, because this is the conversation that I really expected you to talk a lot about business, and you talk so much about personal. And I love that. We appreciate that, because that is such an important part of business. But I also want to give you kudos in your business, because I feel like I know I'm biased, but as I watch your ads, I can see where you are including people who do not look like you or do not look like the majority. And so I see that, first of all. But then, Matteo, I also see that your shirt itself is accessible, and it is catered to anybody and everybody. And I love that, just the way that you manufacture your processes, yes, but also your product. Yeah. And so for both of you, I love it. You guys are doing such a great job just with your product, but also to learn on the back end with manufacturing, and just the work that you are doing, the self-work you're doing is amazing. Amazing.
Guys, you guys are so awesome.
There was one other thing I did not even hit on, so I'm just going to add a little bit of just a tiny little thing. Our shirts are made with solar and wind power, 100%. And that's something that I don't think a lot of apparel companies can say about.
That's something that he doesn't really talk about a lot, which we really need to be talking about more. But it's 100% made in America, and it's renewable, 100% wind and solar powered. And then
the fabric waste. So a big part of the apparel industry is fabric waste. And what we do is through our manufacturing process, we take all the fabric waste and partner with another business that uses that fabric waste and put them in punching bags.
Wow.
It's the best case scenario, and it's really rare.
And we haven't advertised that at all yet.
And I don't know why. So we're going to get to that.
We don't have a blog about it. We don't have anything about that yet.
No.
let me order my shirt.
Okay, so he's ordering a shirt, and I'm telling you, okay, I'm gonna talk to you, both of you, but I'm gonna talk to Julie right now.
Please.
Make sure it gets on a blog. Make sure, the shirt itself is amazing, but y'all got to market for this. This is beautiful. And what you're doing has such a bigger impact than selling a product, but your product alone makes it accessible because it's for everybody. And you don't find, especially men, I can't even tell you how many times he complains about, oh, women have it so easy. You just go into like a Forever 21 and you buy a shirt. And I'm like, that's kind of true. Men, he's like, I can't find a dress shirt for the life of me. So you've created a product that is accessible, it's inclusive, and it's environmentally friendly. That is amazing. Like, you guys should be shouting from the rooftops. So I hope that we get to help you do that because it's amazing.
Thank you so much.
He's obviously going on to order a shirt right now. Okay. He's ordering shirts right now. So great. So you keep doing that. I'm going to ask the last question because I want to know, you guys have alluded to this a lot and we talk about it often because we're in partnership together. How do you do the relationship thing with the business thing? Like, you guys just bought a house and you're married, you're newly married, and you're in business together. Like, I don't know. Were we newly married when we were in business together?
It was afterwards.
It was like a year and a half afterwards we started. So we had like a year on you guys. I don't know. But I want to know, like, how do you do all the things? How do you manage the relationship? And how do you also manage the business?
So this is one thing, and this is a good difference between her and I. I can be a workaholic and to the point where I can disregard everything else. And she is very much about balance.
And I can too, though. Like, I'm a workaholic
she can too.
So
absolutely.
you had to
find
that.
For me, what she's done differently is, she can be a workaholic, but in her mind, there's always the piece of marital balance.
Yeah, like, I need that. Like,
and for me, I love everything about marriage. I love my wife, and sometimes I just get in a zone.
Yeah, that's true.
And that zone was brought on to me again when you heard me. Every day after the library, every day after work, going to the library for hours a day for over a year. And even before that in college, like, that was just what I would do. And so coming out of that mindset of saying, no, there is a time to stop. And so how does that balance work? To answer the question, what we try to do is 9 o'clock every night is when we shut everything off. And you're probably saying 9 o'clock, that might be later. That might be. We try to do 9 o'clock, shutting everything off and spending some time with each other. Yeah. And
then we try to,
that leaves 7:30 to 9 o'clock in the day. That's a lot of hours in the day.
And that doesn't happen all the time either. Like, sometimes we'll ignore that and we'll work until like 11 and then there goes our entire day, like, just working.
But we'll understand that because something has come up, whether we're shooting content that's just taking longer than that day. But that's one thing. And the other thing is I set goals. So I'm a big goal setter and I try to remind myself of those goals. So I just set my 2021 resolution goals last week. I know it's probably a little early, but it's never too early to get started. And I have a whole section of like my financial goals, of our personal goals, and then our marital goals and our spiritual goals. So from a marital goal, I'm trying to recall them. 1 is like ending at 9. 2 is like doing Bible studies together. 3 is going on like just a retreat between her and I, making time a time to date, but a time for a retreat. Right. Those are 2 different things. And then, those are just some of the things that I have written down and I review them just like I do my other goals. Cause that's a part of it, is understanding what my business goals are and my marital goals.
It makes me laugh because he's such a list taker. Like, he loves to list everything on like check it off.
I like to keep myself accountable, and lists do that really well for me. Some people, it's just like they keep it in their head.
And that's me. I'm like, I just know we're gonna do that. Like, let's just book it. But he's got to have it in a check box.
I have check boxes. This is how I operate.
But yeah. And then I would say, like, just to add, like, we have our, like, sometimes we work on the weekends mostly. Like, we mostly work on Friday and Saturday, but Sunday is our day off, like day of rest most of the time.
We try. There's still days that we're working on Sundays. Just, it depends on how urgent something needs to be. But I'd say for the most part, we try to take off Sunday. Yeah. And it was funny. I I heard, I was listening to a podcast. I don't know what I think it was a Craig Rochelle leadership podcast. I don't know if it was, or it could have been Gary Vaynerchuk, but all it was somebody was saying, well, I don't work on Sundays because that's a day of work, or that's a day of rest. And they immediately challenged him, and he goes, Sunday is a day of rest for those people who work, and completely challenged him because he was lazy. And he was using Sunday as his excuse not to do work. And so he pushed back. He's like, well, how many hours did you put in the week? And he's like, and he couldn't really answer it that well. And so I like to really, if we're going to rest on Sunday, it's because we did so much work and we feel really accomplished.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I would say though that the first year of marriage, it was tough. Like we did not have a balance down.
We didn't.
I was like crying all the time because I didn't like, I am very much like, I need balance. I need like peace. I need to know that we're good. Business is good. Spiritual is good. Like I need that balance to feel good. And so when something's off, I notice it and like, we got to fix it.
and that was during, I mean, like I alluded to earlier, like that was during filming. So like I pushed myself so hard because I'm like, I want to make this opportunity the biggest thing. Like, we don't know if we're going to get an opportunity like this again. So I was working super late every night, every day. Like, and I knew it was to the detriment of a newly married couple. And so that was a big lesson I've learned, as I really got to find balance so that she's happy. And when she's happy, I'm happy.
Vice versa.
That's awesome.
Y'all are so cute.
I know, that's awesome.
I love it.
There was a lot of interaction on the other screen about what we were saying, and I really wanted to know what that was about.
Me too.
Basically, I'm Matteo. He's Julie.
Yep, that's
really it. That's all it is.
That's exactly what it is. She got the list. I got it in my head. That's exactly what it was.
It's like,
yeah, that's so funny.
Oh man. Okay. Well, before we wrap up, tell us what is next for both of your companies.
Well, we're going to be introducing our first line of super stretchable, comfortable polos, men's polos. We're really excited about that. Mm-hmm. That's super new, so I don't want to announce it just yet. But we're just still getting the prototype. So hopefully in time for the holiday season, which is like right around the corner. And then continuing that, and there may be another business in the future just because we're full of ideas, but we
coming soon because I feel good about this.
We'll see.
My intuition is always right.
We are going to keep that one under wraps. And you can't juggle 3 businesses all and give it 100%. So we're going to see what's going to happen in this next chapter of our lives. And I don't want to go too many tangents, but go ahead, babe.
And then mine is definitely just expanding Love Bombshell. And
you want to show them a teaser of what you've been working on?
No.
No,
it's not yet.
Okay.
I will be coming out with amazing robes that I'm really excited about. I also am collaborating with this super cool nonprofit called Pedestrian Wanderlust. And what they do is they really encourage people from all walks of life to express themselves through movement. So they do like a lot of dancing in like public places and stuff. And it's really cool. You have to check them out. But I'm partnering with them. So I'll have a model be wearing my robes in this like amazing place. And she's going to be dancing and being free. And we're storyboarding right now on like what the story is going to be. But
that'll be coming out hopefully in a couple weeks.
Yeah, we're going to film it on November 5th. So yeah.
So on our social media, which I think you guys probably have all of our tags and handles or whatever. She'll be sharing that new kind of campaign.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited about that because I've brainstormed with her on some really good ideas for that.
Yeah.
Let's do this real quick. Tell us, where can everyone find you? Even though we're going to share it in the show notes, give us websites, give us...
Absolutely. So for VERSATTIRE, it's really simple. So the company's name is VERSATTIRE. And you just put my in front of that and you'll find us. And VERSATTIRE, I don't know if I ever explained this. It stands for versatile attire.
Spell it out.
But the company name is VERSA, 2 T's, IRE. So Versa Attire. And you put a my in front of that. And that's literally at myversatire.com. And then my VERSATTIRE on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Mm-hmm. And then my personal like fashion blog page is at daily, DAILY.JULE. I post like all fashion, lifestyle photos. And then on my business page, Love Bombshell, it's love and then BOMSHEL.
She had to spell it weird.
Love Bombshell on Instagram, Facebook, and
that's it, right?
lovebombshell.com.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Love it.
Perfect.
Yes. Well, I think we have done some good work tonight. I know I took away a lot.
Yeah, I took away a lot. I'm definitely going to go.
He's going to go order shirts.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm probably going to go order some loungewear now. That's right, and masks. It's going to be great. So we are so happy that you guys came on. It was really good for me to catch up with an old friend, but somebody who is doing amazing. And we just love following both of you. So we thank you. And for our listeners, please go follow them. We're going to put all their social media handles in the post
in the show notes.
Yeah, whatever
we're gonna put it everywhere.
We're gonna put them everywhere so you guys can see them. Yeah. And thank you both so much.
Thank you, guys. You guys are doing. We love your vision, and
keep going.
Any way that we can blast you out, let us know.
Yeah,
we appreciate you. But until the next time,
we are out.
Bye.
Peace.
Bye.